Welcome everybody on board, and thank you very much. Accept my heartiest gratitude to free up a special time from your busy schedule for this webinar. Hope that we will do the justice with the webinar, with the information we will going to share here, and in the end we will go for some questionnaires. So if you have any doubts, we will clear those doubts as well. So I am just initializing, starting the webinar. So it is all about the fundamentals of Microsoft Azure. So as you know, Azure, everywhere we are talking about lots of things. Everywhere we are talking about the cloud. So we will discuss about the webinar is related to what actually the cloud is, how we are going to work with the cloud, what are the types and what services can be availed from the Microsoft Azure. So this is AZ-900 or AZ-900, which is the introduction to the cloud computing or introduction to the Microsoft Azure. So let me move it. So this is the first basic need to understand that what we are going to propose, what we have, what will be our plan. So when we go through the fundamentals, it means the introduction. After introduction, we should know how to administer a specific service like Microsoft Azure here. So this is totally related to the Azure cloud. So first we will discuss about the fundamentals of the cloud. We will discuss then we want to move ahead, then we'll go for the administration of the cloud. Then we have some solution experts, like different type of services. It can be our networking services, it can be our some other services, or even the integration. Then we have the DevOps, where our developer plus operations team can work together to develop some specific applications and do the automation as well. Then AZ-500 related to our security engineer, which is giving the information about the security in the Azure, how we can make our Azure more and more secure. Then AZ-700, this is related to the complete networking of the Azure, how the networking takes place, what is the difference between public and private network, and lots of other things like VPN, load balancing, everything will be configured here. And then we can go for we can learn about the Windows Server. In Windows Server, we have the AZ-800. These are the couple of information, couple of things which we have given here. You can get the better idea, like how we are moving ahead, and the expected salary is provided on the right hand side. Agenda for today's information is the cloud computing. We will see about what is the cloud computing, what is the shared responsibility, what are the different models of the cloud, some hosting. We'll discuss about a little bit of hosting here, benefits of the cloud, and then cloud services. So when we talk about the cloud computing, so we can say cloud computing is to attain or avail the services through the internet without uh, without creating our own infrastructure or on-premise infrastructure. So we don't have to pay for our on-premise infrastructure. We don't have to purchase any specific hardware or some services. All the services, all the hardware is already being available on the cloud. We can go and access it through the internet, and we can utilize the services. So this is the basic idea of the cloud computing. Let's move and dig into this cloud computing. So now cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet or the computing resources over the internet. So computing resources can involve our compute, our networking, our storage, and so on. Compute is related to, it is just our server. So means we have to just select which type of server we want to be hosted on the cloud. We can select our CPUs, we can select our memory, we can select our hard disk size. Then networking. Networking gives us the idea how the communication to these resources, the compute resource will take place from on-premises to cloud. We can use, there are different network services are available. We can use the public network services where we can access it through public IP address, and then we have the private IP address. We can access it through the private IP address. So here it will give us the idea, if we want to use the services on the cloud and we don't want to use the public IP address, how can we go with the private IP address? We can use Azure Bastion, or we can use the VPN. Then we have the storage. Whenever we are working on the cloud, so definitely we are working with the data. So somewhere we need to store our data. So we can have the storage as a service on the cloud itself. So Microsoft Azure provides all these options: compute services, networking services, and the storage service. What is the benefit here? Benefit is here, we don't have to invest in a huge hardware. We don't have to use, or we don't have to consume, we don't have to invest more amount of time on installing the applications and then configuring the applications, installing the database, configuring the database, and making the communication, and then installing and configuring the storages. So all these parts will be available. All these services are available on the Microsoft Azure. We just need to create an account, access it through the internet, yeah, and then we can use those services. Desired services is available. So these are the types of the cloud here. So we discussed about, we have the couple of types, like we have the three main types, which is the private cloud, then we have the public cloud and the hybrid cloud. So private cloud means uh, a data center or the infrastructure which is created by an organization for its own usage. No external user can use these services. So this is the private cloud, means only the user from the organization or the employee from the organization can use these services. So what they can do, they can purchase their own infrastructure. So any company can have its own servers, own storage, own network devices, own connectivity, own power solutions, on UPS, everything. But this, so they host all the applications and services or the database on this cloud and this is for only the purpose that only the infrastructure, only this company whose infrastructure is this can utilize. So this is the private cloud. Then we have the public cloud. So public cloud is created by the cloud service providers, which are known as the CSPs. Like we have the Microsoft, we have the Amazon, we have the Google, we have the IBM. So here, what is the benefit? Microsoft, we are talking about the Microsoft. Microsoft have thousands of the data centers throughout the world, and these are segmented into the particular region. So what we need to do, we need to create our account on the Microsoft Azure to avail all those services. So what we can do here, if we want to create a virtual machine, we can create the virtual machine. If we want to create an application, we can utilize the services. We can register the application and use the application. We want to use some databases, so either we can use the SQL database or the NoSQL database. All these are implicitly available as a private cloud from the Microsoft Azure. We talk about the hybrid cloud. Now, this is the type which is very much popular nowadays. It is the combination of public and private cloud to allow application to run in the most appropriate location. So, benefit of the hybrid cloud is, so it is the combination of our public cloud and private cloud. So means the part of our cloud system, it is synchronizing with each other. So public cloud to the private cloud. If we are unable to use some public cloud, we can use the services from the private cloud. So why we are not able to use the public cloud? Sometimes it happens due to the network fluctuations or network overburden. We are not able to reach to a specific service. So what we can do, we can use that service into our private cloud. We can configure whatever the changes, what are the modifications we want to do, we can use. We can make all the changes. We can do all the modifications here. So as soon as our network will be okay, it will start the synchronization. It will synchronizing all the modifications to the public cloud. So at any time, we can use our services from anywhere. So this is the combination of our public and private cloud. This is the hybrid cloud. Where it is using? So most of the organizations, either they can be the banking organizations, they can be the some financial institutions, they can be the, some government institutions. They are using the hybrid cloud everywhere. Throughout the world, we are using the hybrid cloud. Now, the benefit of the cloud. We will come to the services later on. First, we need to understand like what we are getting from the cloud. What are the services and why we use the cloud? So, as we discussed, couple of benefits are here. You see, the benefit number one is high availability. Okay, how it is making us like okay, how it is high availability. How the high availability occurs here. Why we are using the cloud? We are using the cloud services to create our own resources. I want to create a virtual machine. I subscribed, I have the account on Microsoft Azure. I create one virtual machine. Suppose we select the region 1. And due to some natural calamity or some unidentified region, lots of the regions will be there. Our region 1 is unreachable. So what will happen here? The drawback is my service won't be available. I won't be able to access my virtual machine. So this is a problem. But when we are using the cloud services, whatever the resources we are creating, so there will be another copy will be available on the related region for that resource. So I created the virtual machine on region 1. So there will be another copy will be created on region 2. So in case if region 1 is not available, we can avail our services from region 2 without any downtime. So this is the high availability. This is the like most asked questions everywhere. How the high availability works here. What will happen if we are creating a resource? If we create the resource in one region, if that region fails, how we can avail the services? How we can keep utilizing the services? So this is the answer to that question. Then we have the scalability. Scalability means on demand utilization of resources. You know, due to some during some festive season, lots of services are there, lots of sites are there, so they feel overburdened. So if they have the resources, if the resources get overburdened, so it can lead to the crashing of the system. Now we can here in the cloud we can set up the scalability. We can set up okay if demand or some burden or the network burden is increased or is greater than 50%, it will automatically create the same resource, same type of resource. We don't have to configure this resource now. It will automatically create the resource which will be communicate to the original resource and distribute our burden. So if the demand is less than 50%, we can return to our original resource. So this is the scalability. It can be like horizontal scalability or the vertical scalability. Horizontal scalability means we are going to add the new resource, new complete server. Vertical resources means we are going to add the specific component of the server, like can be CPUs, can be the memory. Now, in case of there will be a memory lack of memory, we can configure it. Okay, at this time, if there is a memory usage is greater than 60%, it will automatically allocate another like 500 GB of RAM or the 128 GB of RAM, depending on our requirement. So as soon as workload be normal, so it will release the memory which has been utilized. So this is the best part here in the scalability. Now the predictability. We can predict like what is happen and what will be happening in the future. So means there will be monitoring. A monitoring will always be running. Monitoring tool will always identify the workload. Yes, we have to configure something. We have to configure some workload to calculate the workload, and it will be give us the what will happen in the future. Or basically, it will check it out. It will keep checking. Okay, during which month our workload is increasing, during which month our workload are decreasing. So any festive season, any New Year season, our workload will be increased. So we will be ready to make our systems available all the time by this prediction. We can have an idea. Okay, in the month of October or November, there is a festive season, so we can increase our resource. Governance, it will follow the rules and regulations of the organization, of the country, of the region, how they are being utilized here, how the data is being utilized in the government. So which type of data will be there? How can we provide more and more security to the data? So this is the governance. Now the cost efficient. Yes, this is kind of information which we are working with. Cost efficient where means we are not going to purchase our own infrastructure. What we are going to do, we are going to utilize the already available infrastructure. So means we don't have to spend even a single penny. Just we have to spend our internet connection, and then we have to pay. We will pay for the services which we are utilizing. The services which we are not utilizing, we don't have to pay. We have to pay for the resources which we are utilizing. The resources which we are not utilizing, we don't have to pay. Next, the reliability. Reliability, like it is for the availability of our resources and our data. How reliable is the cloud computing? Cloud computing, cloud systems are very reliable because they are under the protection of the organization or the cloud service provider. They are follow the they are being governed by the government for any data loss, and we can use our own security to see and to make our data should be secure, should be available to avoid the data breach or data theft, and our data should be available round the clock. Means there will be minimum downtime. So we cannot, in today's scenario, our business are continuously running. We cannot digest that little bit of the downtime. So business continuity is comes here. So this is the reliability and security feature which we just discussed. Then manageability. Manageability means how we are going to manage it. Very simple. We just log in to our service provide to our service like Azure Cloud, and a dashboard will appear in front of us. And then we can see which services are being used by us, what is our requirement, and we can perform the task from by selecting the services from the dashboard. Now comes to the part dashboard is a small and we have the thousands of the services. So above the dashboard, we will find a search icon. We can search which service we want to use, and the service will be available for us. So these are the benefits of the cloud computing here. Now coming to the services type of the which type of services are being provided by the cloud service. So we can see three main type of services which are infrastructure as a service, which are platform as a service, and software as a service. So infrastructure as a service, it is means we on the cloud service providers are giving us the idea what is they have their own data center. In the data center, they hosted all their servers, all their storage, all their network devices. So means we don't have to purchase anything. The already Prepared infrastructure is there. What we need to do is we need to utilize that infrastructure to create our environment, to create our resources. So this is the infrastructure as a service. A complete infrastructure is being available for us, and we can use that infrastructure to load our resources, to create our resources, and to utilize our resources above that infrastructure. It can be physical machines, it can be storage, it can be network, it can be the network devices. So where this infrastructure is hosted, so as we mentioned, there are thousands of the data centers throughout the world. So they have Microsoft. What they did, they created a region. Okay, this is the region. See, in this region, how many data centers are being added? They can attach and keep improving the number of databases to the particular region here. So this is the infrastructure as a service. So we are going to use that already been populated infrastructure to use and to create our own resources. Then we have the platform as a service. So platform as a service, actually it based on the infrastructure as a service. So here, what we have in the platform as a service, we are utilizing the IaaS because all the applications or compute resources are from the IaaS, and then we can use some development tools. So we don't have to install our own applications, own software. So whatever the softwares are available, the development tools are available, we can use it. Our database will be there. We can use the database services. Means we don't have to install the database. So we can use these services. This is a platform as a service which provides us the flexibility to use the already populated platform for our testing and production environment. So this is the basic idea about our platform as a service. Then we have the software as a service, which is called SaaS. So software as a service means we don't have to install any specific software like Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Office Suite. So we have the Microsoft Office 365 suite available on the cloud. So Microsoft Office 365, we can have the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, SharePoint, uh, and other applications over there. We can use those applications for our business purposes. So this is the basic idea about our software as a services where we don't have to install the software. What we need to do, we need to just create an account and log into this type of services, SaaS services, and we will be able to utilize all these services. Just we have to go and purchase the license. Then little bit of Azure architectural component. So here we can understand what are the components are available. The main is coming first part is availability zone. So availability zone is responsible to make available our resources all the time. Our business continuity takes place here. Now we can see here on the right hand side, we can see in this image, we have the availability zone 1, we have the availability zone 2, and we have the availability zone 3. So you see, there are some blue rectangles here under availability zone. Means we created some resources. So these resources are already been, they will be populated in availability zone 2 and availability zone 3. So in case if zone 1 is not available, still our services will be available either from zone 2 or zone 3, depending on our precedence. Our first precedence is zone 1, second precedence is zone 2, third precedence is zone 3. So this is kind of availability services are available. These come under the Azure region. As we already discussed that Azure region is responsible for holding of multiple data centers, and every data center is equipped with independent power supply, independent networking, independent resources, so that in case of one data center goes down, we have another data center where our services are keep running. Now the question comes here, what will happen? Like if we have stored some data, we created our account on the one region, we stored some data. So data storage will be available on the three zones? Yes, storages will be available on the three zones. So this is the type of availability zones here. So what is main idea about the availability zone? It means segregation of the data center into the same Azure region. In the Azure, we have the one region, say region 1, and in region 1, we can have the multiple data centers. They are separated by each other. So they are connected to each other with the help of network and internet, but they are separated by the location. So data center will be available on city 1, one data center can be available on city 2, other one is the city 3. So this is the type of security and reliability provided by the Azure in the shape of Azure availability zone. Then we have the region pair. We just discussed about pairing. Pairing of the region means relationship of the region. How one region is correlated to another region. Just beautiful example is here. We have the region here, region North Central US. So it is paired with another region which is South Central US. So we have another region on the second last, you can say India South is paired with the India Central. So India South means our data centers are available on this region. So this region can have the multiple states or the multiple cities. So if this region is unavailable, our resources, we can access the resources from the India Central region because there will be the pairing here. So what is happening, what we are going to perform the task here, that will be automatically be replicated to the related region, the paired region. So this is called the replication here. So how it works, we just create an account, we just create a resource on one region, then it will see where the pairing happened, who is the paired region here. So we created the account on UK West, so it will identify, okay, I have the UK South paired region, automatic replication will take place and our resources will be available here as well. So we can say this is our active resource, UK West, and this is our passive resource. So if active resource is not available, then the passive resource will become the active resource and we can utilize the services from here. So this is about pairing of the region. Then now coming to the part of the Azure resources. So Azure resources means components or the control. I will say the component and the controls which are used to build our cloud solution. So what we can see here, we can have the component virtual machine, we can have the component app service, we can have the component storage account or the SQL database, our database, SQL and NoSQL both. We have the virtual network and our function. So let's take about like this is our component. Virtual machine is component. Then what will be the control here? Control means we are putting some policies on the virtual machine. That is the control. So these are managed under the Azure resources. So Azure resources is a framework or the boundary wall. Inside this boundary wall, we are utilizing our own component and service. So they can be like storage, virtual machines, networks, which are available to build our cloud function. So we have the resource group. So resource group, the container, which manages our entire resources which we are built for our cloud solution. So resources can exist only one resource group. If we want the same resources, we can have the multiple resource groups will be available. So we can configure this container which holds our resources because our resources are the boundary of some cloud solution and resource group are the containers which holds that boundary. So that will not go out from these resource from resource group. So it provides more flexibility and security to our resources. Now we are working. It might possible that on my system, on my Azure resource, we are working on different solutions. Maybe I'm building a storage solution. Maybe I'm building a DevOps solution. So what we can do, we can create the two resource groups, and one resource group which is dedicated for the DevOps, other resource group dedicated for the storage solution. So they will not be interfered. Now we know in which resource group our resources are available so that we can build the solution. So these are the resource group, which container which holds the resources, which contain which in which we can put our resources and develop the solution over there. Coming to the part of the course management. Yes, course management is like which type of activity we are performing. What are we going to do? Which resources are we going to utilize? So that affects the course. That okay, some resources are free of cost, but for some resources we have to pay because cloud model is pay as you go or pay as we go. Means we have to select the services or the resources and we can pay for those services and resources. So what are the factors which are affecting the cost here? So couple of factors are here. We have the resource type. So costs are resource specific. So the usage that meter tracks and number of meters associated with the resource depend on the resource type. Which type of resources are we going to use? Consumption. Like with a pay as we go model, consumption is one of the biggest drivers of the cost. Like how much we are consuming, how much cost we are going to pay, means which resources we are consuming. So I'm giving you an example here. We created a virtual machine. As soon as we created a virtual machine, it gives us the information like how much will we need to pay for this virtual machine to run for 1 month. So it will give us the approximate idea about the cost. Like if this virtual machine keep continuously running for 1 month, how much we have to pay? Maybe like couple of dollars, one or two or five or $10 or $15. So, so take the example of $15. Now consumption. Now we know that we are going to use this virtual machine from morning 9 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. So what we can do, we can put a start time of the VM and the shutdown time of the VM. So the machine is not running for the 24 hours. So it is taking like couple of hours is running. So we have to pay only for that those couple of hours. So it our increase the life of our virtual machine in the same cost. Then we have the maintenance. So here we are going to maintain our environment. So it will in the maintenance, like it will take the footprint, means our history, like what we are going to use, which virtual machine. I'm giving the example of virtual machine. So it sees like for how long the virtual machine will keep running. So it will give us the idea how to mitigate the excess of cost, means minimizing of the cost here. So that means the part of maintenance. We have to take care about all these. We have to enable all these modes here. Then we have the geography. The same resource type can cost different amounts depending on the geographic area, which has an impact on the Azure cost. So it might possible that a virtual machine we are creating in Indian region can cost 100 rupees for 24 hours as compared to maybe we created that virtual machine in US region can cost more than 100 rupees for 24 hours. So geography or the location also impacts on the cost here. So wisely we need to select where we are going to create our resource, not the virtual machine. I'm taking the example of the virtual machine, but any resource. The network traffic here. While some inbound data transfers are free, The cost for outbound data or the data between Azure resource is impacted by billing zone. So depending on our network traffic, how much network traffic we are utilizing. For outbound data, we need to make the payment. We need to pay for it because we are sharing the resources to the other area. Inbound is free. Inbound is free. Then we have the subscription. Subscription matters here. The type and configuration of our subscription can also impact our cost because I'm giving the example here for the software as a service, SaaS. So we can have the Microsoft 365. So I'm just giving the example here for the Microsoft 365. Just take that we took the subscription for E3 and E5, Enterprise 3 and Enterprise 5. So Enterprise 5 will be more expensive as compared to Enterprise 3 because lots of other additional services are being available on the Enterprise 5 version of Office 365. So what will be the services we can have? Like in E5, we can have the Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and E5 we can have the additional Azure Directory security solutions will be available. So depending on our uh, subscription, so what we need to do is we need to identify like what are the services we are running in our organization, and on the behalf of those services, we will wisely select our subscription that this is the subscription which is suitable for us for the minimizing of the resource. So we can have the Microsoft 365 Business, Business Plus, E5, F3, and E3 solution. We have the Azure Marketplace. So here, Azure Marketplace is responsible for the resources which we can try and purchase. Maybe we have the some third-party resources are available which are not directly be used from the Azure subscription. So we can go for the Microsoft Azure Marketplace. So that's where we can see which resources are available and we can utilize those resources by purchasing them. Like these are the resources specifically used for the integration. Maybe we have to integrate a third party resource to our Azure subscription or to our Office 365 subscription. So we can go and search the add-ins which are available through the Microsoft Azure Marketplace and we can utilize them. Yes, all the add-ins will be available over there. Couple of resources from the marketplace are providing us the services that we can use in the trial version, and after trial version we can purchase them. So more than 10,000 of the plugins or the add-ins or the resources are being available here. Most of these resources are being used for their development purposes here or the automation. So we can have the different automation tools are available. So we can analyze. We can have the different ingestion tools are available. We can analyze those tools depending on which types of services we are going to utilize here and what is required by our resources. So for the automation, we can use the Jenkins, we can use the Maven. All these will be available and we can add it to our solution. And if we are successful, we see it is giving us our desired output and we can purchase those from the Azure Marketplace. Now, then we have the pricing calculator. So pricing calculator is a tool which is giving us the estimation of the cost for the product which we are going to use. Just we need to fill up some information like how it is working. So we can see that we want a virtual machine here. We want a virtual machine. We are hosted the virtual machine on West US. Which operating system we want? Some categories, some instance series, all these, and the instance. You see here, it is giving us the instance ID, which is giving us like two virtual CPUs, 8 GB of RAM, 50 GB of temporary storage. What will be the cost here? US dollar 0.209 per hour. So we can change it anytime. We can see the pricing calculator will be helpful for us to get the price, expected price for our resources which we are going to use. I won't say that this is giving us the exact output because it might possible that we are going to use our resources for the different purposes and we may need to increase or decrease the number of resources, but it will give us the expected output so we can build our organizations can build the budget like what we are going to utilize here, how we can use this. So governance and compliance, how we are governing, how we are compliant, how we are taking control of for our resources that they will be under the secure area. So we can implement different policies. So Azure policies are available. So they are already being set up. Default setup is there. If we want to make changes, we can make changes in the policies to make our infrastructure more and more hardened and more secure. So these policies are related to us providing security to our different resources. Can be our virtual machines, can be our databases, can be our storage, can be our network solution. We have the resource lock. Resource lock are providing, this is a service which allows us to accidentally delete the resource. So what we can do, we can put a lock. Once we put the lock, so what it will do, it will stop couple of things. It will stop the updates. It will stop the deletion of our virtual machine. So we have the two different types of, depending on the lock which we are going to use, which type of lock are being provided, delete lock or read-only lock. So in the delete lock, we can make changes, we can update, but we will not able to delete our resource. But if we configure it with a read-only lock, so we can see what is there in the resource, but neither we can update and nor we can delete the resources here. So these are the important some couple of things which are being used by the Microsoft Azure to provide more and more security. So Microsoft Purview, again, a data governance model which identifies the risk and compliance solution, providing us a compliance solution so that we can get benefited and provide more and more security to our data. So what it will be, it will use for the classification of data, like which type of data is this? It is classified, it is a secure data, it is classified data, which type of data is? Should that data be gone or travel through the email or not? So these are the basic idea. This is Microsoft Purview, which is a data governance model from the Microsoft. So till now, any questions, any queries? If you have any questions, you can go for the question answer session.
Right, Praveen sir. Sorry, Kamal sir. We have a question from one of our participants who wants to understand that, sir, what are the similarities and dissimilarities between AWS and Azure, and which is more in demand presently?
Okay, all right. Actually, both are the uh, cloud service providers, AWS and Microsoft Azure. AWS from Amazon and Microsoft Azure is from Microsoft. Both are providing the same type of services, and we can use like infrastructure as a service. Both are providing our platform as a service. Both are providing the software as a service. So both are in the huge demand nowadays. There is only dissimilarity is only in the look and feel and different naming convention, which is changed over there. Rest, they are providing all types of data activity to the cloud.